Okay, listen up. We're going to get, that was a good exercise. We're going to go right into motivation and leadership. So thank you. I want to go into daily checklists, things that I did as a manager and leader, and some best practices of some of the best stores that I've worked with in the past. As you guys might know from my history, I used to have to go into dealerships and kind of train the GSMs and the GMs, and so I always gave them a checklist. Some of you guys may be doing a lot of this stuff already. You're going to be sent the deck, so everything that we did today, you'll be able to go through it again, because sometimes it's hard to capture it. But so in the morning and then in the afternoon. So in the morning, be early. I can't stress enough that some of you still don't get it. You walk in like you're the Messiah at 1 minute before your shift. Have to comb your hair, have to go to the washroom, and then it's 9:05 before you actually sit in your office and actually come up with a plan for the day. That's not leadership. Leadership is getting there before your team. You need to get this, guys, if you ever want to be a GM in my company. So, what's the right time? Probably 15 minutes to 30 minutes minimum before your team gets there. That is just a given. So why do we do that? Well, A, it's leadership, and you want to be a coach, so you need to stress to them that you need to be on time, and you actually need to put a plan together. I do a lot of it the night before or the morning when I come in the morning. So I'd really, focus on getting this done, guys. But this 1 minute before your shift rolling in, come on. Your team has resentment for it. In case you didn't know, I know they do, because they have to be there early. If your shift starts at 8:30, that means the shift starts at 8:30. That means you are ready to perform and execute. You are starting game plans at 8:30 sharp. It doesn't mean you drive into the parking lot. That is not being a leader. So, I'd like you to rate yourself on some of these things, and hopefully you get some stuff out of it. But these are motivational and leadership things that are required for you to be a GM. Walk the entire store. So you're going to get there early, your shift starts. Well, I'm going to walk the store. I'm going to walk my display. I'm going to walk by all my guys' desks, make sure they're clean. Then I'm going to walk through my other departments because I want to have a great relationship. I'm going to try and say hello to as many people as I can. I've figured out who my key performers are, so I'm going to make sure that I talk to the parts manager, I talk to the service manager, I probably talk to my controller, and anybody else that directly influences my department. I make sure I just say hello to them and talk to them. Greet as many employees as you can, be personal and engaged. I try and pick out 1 or 2, sometimes 3 a day. Even when I come in your stores and I visit, I will grab one person and actually have a conversation with them on what they did for the weekend. It's very important that you get to know your teams and what they're doing. And maybe some other employees that don't even work in your department to have a great relationship. And I think sometimes we forget that. We have this tunnel vision on and we're just like, okay, there's my office. Okay. And we walk by people. I used to work for someone and he did not know any of the names of the employees when he walked in the company and walked in the dealerships. You got to know your teams. You got to know the people that you're working with, and you got to have conversations and be very personable, no matter what department, no matter what position you have in the company. That detailer, that lot person, some of these are young people that you are leaving an impression with, and they are looking towards advancing their life and their career, and so you have an obligation to be a very good leader, and part of it's being personable and getting to know them. Okay? Ensure proper displays. So some of you have done a great job on this. Some of you haven't, but displays mean anything. Like Mike, I gave you a hard time because 3 times in a row I came into Victoria Hyundai and I found these old used car tires sitting at the entrance, right? And sometimes we forget because it's our dealership, but you have to look at it through a customer's eyes. So is your display very, are you noticing that when there's something sitting there in the corner? Are you noticing if the salesmen aren't cleaning off their desks? You know, didn't I just email you yesterday, you, Scott, and Sam? What was the email?
The email was, we had a new car up on the display, but it had all the stickers on it. It just came off a truck, so it looked terrible.
So I was trying to figure out who parked it there and why. Why would you take a brand new vehicle that still had plastic on it and put it in your staging area? And then I sent them, hey guys, like, why is the president of the company have to tell you guys this? Like, this is the 10th or 12th time we've had meetings of leadership about all these things. Like, these things have to be, like, you need to look at things through the customer's eyes. So some of you don't have new facilities, I get it, but put lipstick on it, man. Make it look good with what you're dealt. So, you know, Victoria, you've got an older facility, you're going into a new one, but that doesn't mean that you can't take pride in, you know, all these accessories at everyone's desk. Last time I was there, nobody wants to see that, you know. So, you know, I gave Genesis a hard time because I got here, you know, at 7:30 in the morning and I waited. And I noticed that a truck had dropped off a vehicle and he had parked it right in front of the showroom. So I left at 11 o'clock and it was still there. They have 4 people, lots of staff there. I walked over there and there was Mike, you know, Mike was in his office, the receptionist was standing there, the lot attendant was there, and another salesperson was there. And I'm like, guys, how many luxury dinners do I need to take you for to understand that this is not luxury? This cannot be the first thing they see, which is a very dirty vehicle. So I really want to challenge you guys to start, you know, leveling up on what the customers see when they come in your showroom. So display has to be part of it. You have to ensure proper displays. Now, Jordan already mentioned the other part of the display is the website. You have got to have a good website. That is your display. And some of you haven't been looking at it daily. You need to, daily. You need to know your website. You need to know what the headers are. You need to know if it's functionable. And so as managers, you got to be testing that. Touch every staff member, review previous day's numbers, discuss wins and challenges. So this is just normal habits that you got to do, guys. You got to know where you were yesterday and you got to know where you are today, and then you got to think about what's going to happen tomorrow. So I'm writing this down as a checklist and it's in front of me so that I can look at it every day and I can decide how many of them yesterday did I accomplish and how many did I not, and if there was any that I missed, then I made sure that I started with those. Review CSI, SSI for the store. Sometimes they'll say, where are we at for the month? And a manager will say, let me look that up. Wrong answer. As the president of the company, if I ask any of you where you are at for SSI and CSI, you don't need to look it up. You should know it. You should have already looked it up. It should have been one of the first things you did in the morning. Did any surveys come in? Where are we sitting at? You know, you got to know those numbers off by heart. It's not something that you should have to get me data for, right? Talk to control and accounting. Some of us missed this one. You know, on any of those deals I sent up yesterday, was there any issues on them? Was the gross exactly the way I set it up? Sometimes you guys like to wait at the end of the month and do this marathon reconciliation. I didn't. I did it daily. My accounting clerk and my accounting person knew to come down and talk to me about if any deal, if there's anything missing in the deal, and if there's any gross that was different than how I set it up. I fixed it right then, and my gross log was usually like Jordan's, within $500 of the gross log at the end of the month. I didn't have chargebacks where I missed, you know, accessories or I missed things or that. I did it daily, and I didn't need to do it at the end of the month and spend an hour in my office doing accounting with the deal clerk going through all the deals and having them pulled again. You got to get tighter and you got to talk to accounting. So it's a big one. Any HI, you know, did we get our package back from the hires? You know, Brandon just sent an email where, you know, the staff are not your buddy. If they show up late, we need to have it on file. If they are sick a day, it's not like, hey buddy, don't, you know, you can owe me later. You're not their buddy. Start sending it every single time they're late. Start sending it every single time they miss a day. Okay? Because we just had a person that was late and sick and missed a ton of days, and we wanted to terminate them because they were not responsive and the manager hadn't sent any of that in. Okay? And I talked to payroll and HR, and we don't have any of that, but everybody else in the store knew it. The manager knew it, but our HR department didn't. So just a daily reminder, these are little things that, oh yeah, no, I'm good, everything's good, right? Okay, ensure morning, okay, this was for the GMs, but ensure game plans happened all team. So one of my worst pet peeve is at 11:30 or 12, I'll walk up to a sales manager. He's working on his used car analysis or some report that was due that day, and he hasn't done the game plans. And now half of the day has went by with his salesman because he was focused on getting the administratives done. And he wasn't focused on it. There's nothing more important than you starting your day off making sure the game plans are done with your staff. Okay, and I'll tell you, when you see the afternoon one, that's when I'm doing my admin stuff. Okay, once all these really key points in the morning setting the tone for the day, right? So, and then I was too busy, I only got 3 of the 4 done. That's a big one. It happens even in this store where I'll say, did you get everybody done? No, I still got to do 2 or 3 and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and they've been there since 9 in the morning. That is not being consistent, that is not being disciplined. You have got to do a game plan with everybody within the first 2 hours. You have to do those one-on-ones. There's nothing more important than that, okay? I know that you don't have 5 deals on the board by 10 o'clock, okay? You weren't too busy. You chose to do other things than that, right? And those of you that have more than one manager, those of you by yourself, sometimes I realize you might be in the manager by yourself for that morning. Try and get through those as quick as possible. If there's 2 of you, divide and conquer, okay? This, oh, he's gonna do all the game plans and I'm too important to do that. You know, talk to your GM or talk to your other manager if you have one and say, no, we gotta get these all done within a timely manner. So can we get these done and then we'll do the rest later, okay? It's about being really good coaches together, right? I think that's missed sometimes is that, oh, that's his job, that's not mine. Oh, we didn't get him done? Okay, I'll go talk to that other manager. Okay? Wake up on the tunnel vision. It's everybody's job to make sure that the game plans are done. Okay? Facilitate a save a deal. Victoria, I don't know what's going on there with you guys. You didn't do them daily. I know Brandon's enforced that now. Maple Ridge, this whole excuse that you can't do them with both of them together and you're going to do it yourself and not talk to all of them together without Brad there and stuff, that's not our policy. Our policy is to have all the finance managers, all the subprime people in a meeting once a day going through every single deal that's pending. Period. That's the process. There's no Marcus Pinto cheeseburger sandwiches version. There's no other versions. That is the save a deal. It is a best practice. It has to be done no matter what. So can I please get everyone's commitment on that? So you guys are GSMs. It's your job to be a leader. Start scheduling it when they're both there. No excuse. I don't want to hear any version of why you're not doing it because it just doesn't matter to me. Find a way to do it. Okay, now we're in the afternoon. Finish any outstanding task replies. Because you've got all those other things done, now you can go to, okay, I got some stuff to catch up on. Okay? You know, I'm going to start doing that. Grab a staff member. If you ever have downtime, this is what you should be working on. Grab a staff member and kind of what Andrew was saying, I'm going to grab a low performer. I might even grab a high performer. It doesn't matter. I'm going to grab someone that I think needs a little chat and I'm going to start doing one-on-ones with them. We've gotten away from one-on-ones in some dealerships. This is where you can get those 10% increases is by actually doing them with people. Very big one. Where are we at for appointments for the day? Was there any that didn't show up? Are we on top of the ones that didn't show up? And where are we at for tomorrow? Is there anybody that is not executing our appointment process? Do I need to sit down with that person? And then making sure that every day you're consistent on setting these up. It's really important. Perry, do you ever remember when we first bought Kelowna Hyundai what your job was at the start? When I stuck you in that second office?
No, I don't.
His number one job was appointments. And I would get mad at him if he tried to desk a deal. Unless I'd say, do not desk a deal unless you have 8 appointments on the board. Do not talk to anybody. Do not I will handle all that because I want to do everything myself. I was hoarding all of it because I had just bought the dealership and I want to make sure I touched everything. So when Perry came aboard, And he was like an ASM version sales manager. But I said, I'll desk every deal. You make sure that there's enough appointments for tomorrow. Once we have our number that's set, then you can help me with the rest of it. It was just that important for me that I knew that I needed that many appointments. I always wanted that. So, okay, the second one is be a driver. So there's two things, guys, with leadership. And some guys forget this. Are you a driver or are you a maintainer? Are you maintaining results or are you driving better results? And that's part of being a leader and being a coach. So, I mean, when you really reflect on yourselves, can you honestly say, yeah, I'm a driver. Everyone knows I'm a driver. I'm driving results. Or are you just maintaining? Are you one of those guys that you're going to follow suit of the guy ahead of you, who's ever your GM? You're going to do exactly how he is, and you're just going to maintain those behaviors. You're just going to maintain those actions. I could classify you all right now on what I think, but it's really what you think, and it's really what you're going to do to become more of a driver. Because if you want to advance in the auto industry, you got to become a driver. You got to start being able to drive results. You got to start being a leader of men. Okay? And so I just said this. Are you an Eeyore or are you a Tigger? So some of you sometimes really, really waver on which person you are, right? Something bad happens, some deal or something happens, and you go into a zone where you're not being a good leader because you're being an Eeyore, right? You got to be a Tigger. You got to be able to bounce with it. Okay, there's never going to stop where you're throwing a roadblock. It's never going to stop where there's some heat or some customer that's unhappy, or maybe you had a bad couple days. Those things are always going to, through life, are going to be sent for you. But it's up to you on how you act. It's up to you on how your behaviors. It's up to you on what type of time or mindset you have. Right? Mindset is everything. You see it at the back. It's just really important that you guys have that. So. Okay, I'm also going to review objective to actual. Oh, this one's supposed to say monthly goals. Just to say, somehow we got. Okay, so GSM monthly goals. I'm going to view objective to actual. Once a month, I'm actually going to have this checklist and say, okay, what was my forecast? What did I do? How did I do it? I'm going to review my aged used. I'm going to say, did we execute the aged? Are they priced properly, walked the lot? I'm also going to look at new, and are they all on my website? I want to make sure my process is working. Big one is, did the appointment process work? Were we averaging 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 appointments a day? And which salespeople, had the lowest appointment ratios? Which salesmen had the lowest execution of getting appointments? Those are the people that I'm going to have to try and coach and lead and train better. I got to do the one-on-one, so I need all this data. There's no point doing a really good monthly one-on-one if you don't have the data to support it. You got to know how they executed certain processes, how they executed all the appointments. Review the biggest misses in your department. So we've discussed used and aged a lot, so I would really make sure I focused on it. I'd look at my team and say, is there any holes? Is there any upgrades? Is there anybody that I need to hire? And then I would make sure I gave myself an action plan. This is the big one. I think we didn't do a good job strategizing with Perry and having actually a structured scheduled meeting once a month. You got to do that. And then for new month, with forecasts in every department and solid written action plans. So I'm going to actually write myself out an action plan in writing. I'm going to send it to the ownership based on last month's results and this month's results. I'm going to send it to my boss. I did it all the time. I didn't wait for them to ask me. I was ahead of the game. I had already done that. Like, this was last month. I just want you to know what I got doing. Brandon does it to me all the time. I'll say, this is what my plan is last month. This is where we dropped the ball. This is what I got going. Okay? This is really important. Okay, lastly and not least, we're going to get out of here in the next 30 minutes, but virtues and character of great leadership. So that was the checklist. Now I'm going to talk more psychology behind being a good leader. Be a driver every day. We discussed that. Being a driver every day means you're not distracted with your personal stuff. And, I look around the room, lots of us have lots of things going on. Connor's having a baby, Brandon's getting married, Steve bought a house, Marcus had a baby, bought a place. Andrew's sometimes got, family things going on. Mike, your wife works out of town some days. How am I going to juggle the kids? Everybody has things that are going on, but you need to make sure that you understand that you are the coach and you are the leader. And all those distractions should be sitting at the, once you walk in the store, they're not in the store anymore. You being the coach and the driver of your team is. It's easy to say, because even myself, sometimes I got things outside going on, and it can distract you, but it's really important when you guys have stuff in front of you, they can say, okay, I got to be the driver. I can't let that affect me or my team. No wasted days. So this is a big one, guys, because guess what wasted days turn into? They turn into wasted weeks, turn into wasted months. When I look at the performance of last year, and like I said, we had a good year, every single dealership had one bad month. They had a wasted day that turned into a wasted week that turned into a wasted month. Lots of variances why. But if you just think about what happened that month, most of the time it was internal. It wasn't some external problem. It was, our leadership and our accountability. We weren't doing the systems. We weren't doing the things we should have, and it got away out of us. We ran out of time to get it back. And I always remember, I just want to sometimes I find it funny when a manager will say, I just want this month to be over with. I want to start next month, so that they basically shut this month off, and they're like, as if something that happens, I'm going to start doing this, March 1st. Can't wait till March 1st gets here. I just want to get rid of February. Well, are you having wasted days? Are you having wasted weeks with that mindset? Because you're the leader of your staff. And how many salesmen are like that? They're having a bad month and they just say, I just got to, they're not going to hit their target. They're not going to hit their objective. So are you being a good leader to them and saying, hey guys, it's not over. We still have 6 days. Let's try and get some money in your pocket. Let's do everything we can and finish strong the last 4 or 5 days. Okay, so at least you maybe have a head start on next month. Maybe you get a few deals. Maybe you have a few carryover. Maybe you have a few pending, right? So I think it's really important that you have no wasted days. And you got to look at this sometimes. You got to say no wasted days. You got to say that to yourself, especially when you have a lot of personal stuff going on. You got to say to yourself, no wasted days. I can't afford to be distracted at work, right? Consistency is number one. All the videos you've seen today was about being a coach. They all say the same thing. I read a ton of books, okay? Whether it's the Kobe Bryants and the sports ones, or it's guys that are in the industry or leaders of whatever business they're in. They all say it's about consistency, right? It's just executing at a consistent level. Consistent behavior means consistent thinking, and are you in the game every day? So that is a big one, and it's hard to do. It's easy to say, but you really have to challenge yourself. Okay? No distractions. We talked about it. Okay? Trust is the next one. This is a big one, is because right now it's my biggest pet peeve with a manager is when they say they're going to do something and then they don't do it, and then I need to ask them for an update. It is my biggest pet peeve when I manage people. So if you guys can learn anything from this meeting, it's say what you mean what you say to your staff, do what you say what you do. That means to me, that means to your manager, that means to your wife, that means to anyone. Okay? You have to make sure you're committed to following through on whatever you say. That's the virtue and character of great leadership. Work beside your team. That's why I voted for Steve here on the workshop. An influential leader not only tells someone or sends an email, but show them personally. So Jordan mentioned that he was emailing you guys a lot on the used cars, but just like when you guys sometimes, emails don't always work. Sometimes you got to hold their hand, sit down with them, find out how they're going to do things, find out how you can help them themselves, and actually do it personally. Setting an example isn't another way to teach. It's the only way. So you have to be an example of them and how to do it. It can't just be an email and telling people. Attitude. What you have in your mindset will take over your actions and behaviors. Okay, the wolf story. So this is an old grandpa story. Okay, basically the psychology behind it is there was two wolves, and one wolf, okay, was always jealous, had lots of anger, very temperament, always had lots of emotions. Okay, and the grandpa was telling his grandson this story that he always carried all this in it, and then the other wolf had lots of joy, lots of happy, always had great mindset, always carried himself very well. And the grandchild said, well, which wolf won in the war? Because they were always going at each other. And the answer that the grandpa said to his grandson was, the one you feed the most. So when we're talking about proper mindset, which one are you guys feeding? Are you getting emotional? Okay, and do you have lots of, these bad thoughts in your head? Or, are you really pumped up? Are you really positive? And are you being that driver and being that coach and being that leader where it's contagious, right? So optimism is contagious, so is pessimism. So, are you one of those negative Nellies when there's something going wrong? Okay, what about this? Or, hey, we'll get through it. Let's get back on track. Let's focus. We got to work harder, guys. We're behind right now. Are you the guy that's setting the example? You know what? We've been behind on appointments, so let's make more calls. I'm going to be there with you. Okay? Whatever that is that you need to do, right? Focus. Be in the moment. Cell phones are a big one. Okay? Talking to someone, if you're going to be looking at your phone and on your phone, you're not in the moment. It's not good leadership. So be direct with them. Be talking with them. Be in the game at hand. So, and don't let your own personal distractions change you from being a great leader, because we all have them. And that is the end of the good to great. So, hope you guys had a good week. What we'll do now is we'll go around the room real quick and see what you guys took from the back half of the meeting, and then we'll get you guys on the road.